Welcome, everyone. I see we have folks logging on. I'll just give it another minute or so for people to get into the webinar, and then we will get started momentarily. All right, good morning. Welcome, everyone. It's a little after 10, so we'll go ahead and get started. We're so glad that you could join us for the third installment of the second season of the Department of Correction Insider Series webinars. Our topic today will be Working Behind the Walls Part 2. Hopefully you are able to join us for Part 1 of Working Behind the Walls. If not, you are able to find a video of that webinar on the Department of Corrections YouTube channel. My name is Heather Zwickert, and I'm the Chief of Planning, Research, and Reentry for the DOC, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Planning, Research, and Reentry is a specialized unit in the Office of the Commissioner that oversees and coordinates prisoner reentry initiatives, leads the department's data collection and analysis efforts, facilitates strategic planning, oversees accreditation and compliance, and provides project and grant management for multi-bureau initiatives. Today's presenters are Delaware Department of Correction Food Service Administrator Dan Roberts, Facilities and Maintenance Manager Mitch Heil, and Warden of the Special Operations Group Michael Merson. Thank you so much to our presenters for joining us today. A little background information on our presenters. Food Service Administrator Dan Roberts earned an associate's degree in culinary arts from the Pennsylvania Culinary Institute and has over 25 years experience working in the food service industry. Dan worked in various levels of establishment, including casual dining, fine dining, banquet facilities, hotels, and corporate food service. He served as the executive chef for Aramark Dining Services for 11 years from 2005 to 2016. And he joined the DOC in 2016 as the Quality Control Administrator for Food Services. Dan was promoted to the Food Services Administrator in December of 2022. Facilities Maintenance Manager Mitch Heil joined the DOC in 2019 after serving the state as a master electrician with the Division of Facilities Management and the Department of Transportation. Mitch retired from the U.S. Air Force Reserves in 2021 as a Master Sergeant in the field of aircraft maintenance. As the department's facilities maintenance manager, Mitch is responsible for maintaining the security and safety of the physical plant for all 10 correctional facilities currently under the department's control. Warden Michael Merson began his career with the Department of Correction in 1991 after serving in the U.S. Army. Warden Merson's first assignment was at the Delaware Correctional Center, which is now known as the James T. Vaughn Correctional Center. Warden Merson worked various positions and shifts until promoting to corporal in 1994 and was assigned to the maximum security unit until 1998. In 98, Warden Merson transferred to the Court Transportation Unit, where he worked all 3 counties as a transportation corporal. In 2004, he promoted to lieutenant, supervising staff in the Newcastle County Courthouse, and later transferred to the Kent County Courthouse, where he helped design the new cell block and Department of Correction area in the current courthouse. Warden Merson was promoted to captain and statewide dispatcher of the transportation unit in 2009. In 2013, he transferred to the Special Operations Group headquarters to run the newly formed Central Intelligence Group. He was promoted to Major of SOG in 2017, and in 2022 was promoted to Deputy Warden and then to Warden. So today's agenda will provide a closer look at some of the more specialized positions within the department. During our first presentation of Working Behind the Walls, we went over more kind of our onboarding, right? How to get hired with the department, what the training academy classes are like, and our what a day in the life of a correctional officer is like. So today we're going to talk about some of the more specialized positions that are available within the department, including within our food services unit, within facilities and maintenance, the CERT team, the Central Intelligence Group, our Intelligence Operations Center, Port and Transportation, and the K-9 unit. We will also give some information about ways to get involved and connected. And at the end, we will have a period for Q&A. Please submit any questions that you have in the Q&A box on your Zoom screen. Please go ahead and use the Q&A box versus the chat screen to submit your questions. It just makes it easier to keep track of the questions and provide responses. Keep in mind, we aren't able to answer questions about specific individuals or specific circumstances during the webinar. We will provide contact information for people who are able to answer questions about specific individuals at the end of the webinar. And we aren't always able to get to every question that's answered or every question that's asked during the webinar. So as long as you answer, as long as you don't answer your question, ask your question anonymously, we will reach out after the webinar to provide a response if we aren't able to answer your question during the course of the webinar. We do record the webinar and it will be posted to the department's YouTube channel, and we will also make the PowerPoint available after the webinar. We do provide certificates of attendance for those who stay tuned for the entire webinar. And additionally, as I mentioned earlier, all of our previous webinars are available for viewing on the department's YouTube channel. So the slide you see now is all the department's level 5 and level 4 facilities. We'll be talking more about some of the things that occur in these facilities throughout the course of the webinar. And you can find information on all of these facilities by going to the department's website at doc.delaware.gov. I'm going to take 1 second here, because we do also typically launch polls, right, to keep things interactive. But I am having a little bit of a technical difficulty. Just bear with me for 1 second. So normally right here, we usually launch a poll that kind of asks who all we have in the audience, so we can get a better idea of who's joined us for the webinar. But for some reason, today I am not able to launch a poll. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and get started with the webinar. And while our presenters, of course, and then the first thing I have two polls right in a row, conveniently. So I guess we will just go ahead and start with the presentation. And while we have presentations going, I'll see if I can potentially figure out what exactly is going on with my polls. So I guess right now I will go ahead and turn it over to Dan Roberts to talk to us about food services. And maybe while he's talking, I can figure out what's wrong with my polls. Dan?
Thank you, Heather. So yeah, I'm Dan Roberts. I'm the DOC Food Service Administrator. Like Heather mentioned, I have an associate's degree in culinary arts from the Pennsylvania Culinary Institute. Okay, so who we are: food services employs approximately 75 members, staff members up and down the state, between all our level 5 and level 4 facilities. Those officers oversee the daily production of 6,000 meals statewide, which equates to over 6.5 million meals a year throughout all of our institutions. So following our ACA guidelines, at least 2 of our 3 meals every day must be hot. The majority of all 3 of our meals are hot most of the time, but at least 2 of them have to be hot. We do follow that. We have a master menu that we follow for 4-week cycles. They do get evaluated twice a year by our menu planning committee. That committee is made up of all of our regional food service directors, the central supply supervisor, our quality control administrator, as well as myself and the registered dietitian. All of our menus and diets are reviewed and approved by our registered dietitian to ensure that they meet all dietary and nutritional needs. So all of our meals are prepared and served by classified inmate kitchen workers. Those kitchen workers are responsible for everything in the kitchen, from receiving of our deliveries to the storing and the rotation of our food items, as well as the cleaning and sanitation of the kitchen. Those inmate workers are always supervised by our food service officers. All of our food service staff are required to have a valid ServSafe food service manager certification, which we teach here at the Academy, and it's good for 5 years. So going over our positions, the way our structure is for staff, at the top is our Correctional Food Service Administrator. That's myself. Then we have our Quality Control Administrator. They are both based out of the administration building. Inside of our kitchens, we have our Regional Food Service Directors. They are the rank of captain. Underneath them, they have supervisors. They are the rank of lieutenants. And then each shift will have Food Service Specialist 3s, which are staff sergeants, and as well as our Food Service Specialist 2s. Those are our sergeants. And our entry level for officers in the kitchen are our CO/Food Service Specialist 1. They are the rank of corporal. At the warehouse, that's where our centralized location is for all of our deliveries. It is ran by our warehouse supervisor, which is a lieutenant rank, and underneath him are the warehouse sergeants. So food service regions and locations are a little bit different. We have all of our institutions based in different regions of the state. So our northern region is a Howard R. Young Correctional Institution. If you get assigned out of the Academy to the northern region, that is where you work. Then we have our northern satellite region, and that is comprised of our Baylor Women's Correctional Institution, the Hazel D. Plant Treatment Facility, and Plummer Community Corrections Center. So if you get assigned to the northern satellite region, you can work at all 3 of those institutions. In the central region, we have James T. Vaughn Correctional Center, as well as the Community Corrections Treatment Center. In the southern region, we have the Sussex Correctional Institution and Sussex Work Release Center. And then the warehouse is just itself, Central Supply, which is outside the fence line of James T. Vaughn grounds. So our shifts for food service, our kitchen schedules, We have a midnight to 8 a.m. shift that will oversee the breakfast preparation and cleanup. And then we have a 3:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. shift. They oversee the lunch preparation and cleanup. And then 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift comes in and handles dinner preparation and cleanup. The warehouse is a little bit different. They are Monday through Friday, often close on the weekends, and they run 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Responsibilities of food services. So each region does have a food service director. They are in charge of all aspects of food service in that region. Each shift in that region is going to have a food service supervisor, which is a lieutenant, and they manage between 2 and 5 food service specialists every day. And then you have food service specialist 3s, which are our staff sergeants. They are considered our lead workers on each shift. And then the food service specialists 1 and 2s, which are corporals and sergeants, are responsible for specific zones inside the kitchen. Going over each rank here, food service specialist 1s, they are corporals. That is our entry level for the food service position out of our CERT Academy. They are required to get a Serve Safe Food Service Manager certification, and they renew that every 5 years. When they come into work, they get assigned a specific zone in the kitchen, and they are responsible for overseeing those inmate workers in their specific zone. They're responsible for menu adherence, production sheets, temperature logs, basic sanitation and cleanliness as well. They ensure that our inmate workers are portioning properly, and they manage the daily cleaning tasks of those workers. The next level is our food service specialist 2. That's a career ladder move, which means that after a year of service in their food service specialist 1, they are eligible for a career ladder promotion to a sergeant rank. And it's very similar to what a specialist 1 does. It's just a little bit more experience. So they're also watching zones, responsible for inmate workers and things like that. Next up, after that is our food service specialist 3. These are our staff sergeants. They are considered lead workers on the shift. To become a staff sergeant, food service specialist 3, you do have to go through an open competitive interview process. They conduct inmate worker briefings before the shift. They oversee the kitchen during the meal production. They'll hand out production sheets, preparation plans, daily tasks to those specialist 1s and 2s, reports daily production numbers and inventory counts, and they delegate from the shift supervisor on any daily needs of the operation down to the specialist 1s and 2s. Above the specialist 3s are our food service supervisors. They come in as a lieutenant rank. Those supervisors are promoted through another open competitive interview process. They are in charge of their entire shift in that kitchen. So the specialist 3s report to the supervisors who are in charge of that entire shift. The supervisor will assign work zones and daily tasks to the FS1, 2s, and 3s. The supervisor conducts daily shift briefings with their staff before every shift. Supervisors will hire inmate workers and manage their schedules. They'll also hand down any assignments that are delegated from the food service director. And they also are the ordering authority for produce, dairy, bread, and food from Central Supply Warehouse. Above our supervisors is our regional food service directors. They are the rank of captain, and they are in charge of all aspects of food service in that region. They report directly to the food service administrator. They will delegate tasks down to the shift supervisors. The directors oversee all of the ordering, inventory, work orders, any equipment issues. They are responsible for scheduling staff, approving time off for staff, handling also any type of staff issues. They work directly with the institution administration, like the warden, deputy warden, major, on any kitchen related issues. They go to the weekly warden meetings. They also oversee inmate grievances, and they're in charge of inmate worker hours and approving monthly wages. Onto our Central Supply Warehouse. Central Supply is our centralized location where our outside contracted vendors deliver all the food items for all of our prisons to this warehouse. And we have officers there that supervise inmate workers that unload those orders. So we have sergeants there that are managing inmate workers, putting deliveries away, storing and rotating products. They'll pull orders that institutions place for everything from food to paper supplies to janitorial items, anything that goes into the institutions. These sergeants deliver these orders to those institutions daily, and all of our sergeants have a CDL license to drive the truck that delivers those orders. Their supervisor is the warehouse supervisor. He oversees and manages those sergeants. The warehouse supervisor will place bulk orders through our state contracted vendors. They manage the food service fleet of trucks there, and they'll hire and discipline inmate workers that come out to the warehouse.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Dan, for that information on food services and Central Supply. We are now going to start talking or learning about facilities and maintenance from manager Mitch Heil. Mitch, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Heather. As Heather mentioned, I am the facility maintenance manager for the department. Excuse me. So basically, I'm going to go off script a little bit, and I'm just going to let you know that we take care of everything maintenance wise in the facilities, from the ground to the rooftop, and even the underground. So we perform all the routine and preventive maintenance on all the equipment on all of the facilities, as well as the grounds upkeep outside of the fence. Inmates perform the grounds maintenance inside the fence in most institutions. We take care of every single trade, or we are capable of hiring if it's something that's outside of our realm. So we do all the minor and basic repairs: plumbing, painting, carpentry, tile, door locks. That's a big one for us because you have to have certain specialty locks in all of the institutions. We assist in all of the equipment repairs. Even if we hire somebody to come in, we are assisting them so that we can also learn from the experts outside of our realm. We assist technical supervising, plumbing, repair, structural additions. I mean, every aspect of maintenance in the facilities, we take care of it. We operate the machinery. We transport equipment and other workers to whatever area on the facility that it's needed, tools, equipment, materials. We basically take care of everything inside and outside of the institution on the property. We supervise inmate work crew. We have approximately 50 workers at James T. Vaughn, and probably about 8 workers at Sussex Correctional that work for us on a daily basis. One of the biggest things is tool counts. Every tool inside the institution could become a weapon, so it's very important we maintain close inventory on all of our tools. If you come to the maintenance department out of the academy, you would also start as a corporal. The annual salary is approximately $57,000 to start, and then we do have career ladders, different from any other agency within the department. Our career progression is based on experience and education. The more you go to school, the quicker you can promote. We do have a minimum of 1 year to move to mechanic 2, and then 2 additional years to move to mechanic 3. But that's just so that you are proficient in maintaining the facilities. We also have trades technicians that are the same pay grade as a mechanic 3, but they require a journeyman license. And so every mechanic, as well as trades technicians, are responsible for all of the preventive maintenance and repairs on all facilities. They perform restoration, renovation on all facilities. They build partitions, renovate furniture, anything that has to do with maintaining the institutions. We work on air compressors, pumps, hydraulic lifts, the wastewater treatment plants, all of the air conditioning and heating systems, boilers, pumps, all of the life safety devices, generators, fire prevention, emergency lighting. We oversee the work of the skilled and semi-skilled maintenance, labor, and inmate workforce. So we are responsible. If inmates are out there working on anything in the facility, then a skilled mechanic will be with them to ensure that it's being done proper. We also maintain records of all work that's done in our data system, so that there is a lifelong record of all maintenance performed, so that we can try and eliminate repeat breakdowns. And of course, first and foremost is always the security of our tools, supplies, and equipment. That's one of the most important things, is that what we walk in the institution with is what we walk out of the institution with, so that there's no harm to any staff or any of the inmates. And then we also have a master electrician position, which is a specialized position. It's one pay grade above the mechanic 3 and technician. It's a pay grade 11. So they are responsible for the entire electrical infrastructure on the facility, with the exception of the high voltage. Anything above 600 volts, we would hire an outside professional for that, just because of the safety concerns. So they are totally responsible for inspecting, installing anything existing or anything that needs to be installed as a new item into the institutions. They operate voltage testers, amp meters, industrial circuit testers, gauges, all hand tools related to anything electrical. They install the conduit, electrical wiring. They are able to estimate cost and time for projects, maintain, repair transformers, basically anything electrical inside the institution. My master electrician and my technician should be and are capable of maintaining. And then we maintain, we have 2 shifts at all of our locations, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, Monday through Friday. We also operate a 7 to 3 on weekends, with splitting it so that you'll have a Friday or Saturday off, or a Sunday and Monday off. With the exception of Baylor, we operate 1 shift Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. We have about 70 employees currently on staff, and I'm authorized for 75, with 8 casual seasonal to assist with groundskeeping and storekeeping. And we also sponsor apprenticeship programs. So if you come to the maintenance department, we want you to further your career as best as possible, to be beneficial to you for the time being and for your future, and it benefits the department. If you're willing to go to apprenticeship school, we will sponsor you 100%. So we will cover you for electrical, plumbing, pipe fitting, steam fitting, HVAC, and we just recently adopted under our wing the electronic technicians. So if you are an electronic technician working for the IT department, we will also sponsor you to go to electronic technician school, so that you can further your career in that way. We also collaborate with the blue collar program through the state HR. Anything that comes open that state HR is offering to any other state agency, we are also allowed to participate in anything maintenance related. Last year we did lock training with Southern Folger. This year we did variable frequency drive training with United Electric. So
And Mitch, that's actually just, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
the variable frequency drive training, we just posted a video on the Department of Corrections Facebook page
yes,
on that training. So if you want to see more information about that training, you can go to our social media and see a really nice video about that also.
right. Now I don't believe they did one for the Southern Folger training because locks are very specialized in a prison, and we don't want to disclose the operation on how a lock works to the general public.
Well, no, not the locks, but
Right,
the other one we just did. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very good video. It's very informative, and that training has been very positive feedback from everybody that has attended that training. So it was money well spent from the department.
All right, great. So Mitch just talked to us about the different types of positions that are available through facilities and maintenance. And now he's going to tell us some more too about the type of work that his staff performs. But first, we're going to launch a poll. I think that I have figured out the poll issues. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. So let me see. I'm hoping that people see a poll. And yes, people are answering. So they do. Okay. So approximately how many square feet of facility is facilities and maintenance responsible for maintaining for the Delaware Department of Corrections? So remember, these answers are anonymous. So we can't see who's answering. Option is A, 300,000 square feet, B, 750,000 square feet, C, 1 million square feet, or D, 2 million square feet. So I'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so to weigh in and see if anybody has any idea of just how many square feet of facility we're dealing with here at the Department of Correction. Thanks for putting your responses in. That's great.
Heather, do you want me to answer that?
Not yet.
Okay. You want me to give the answer away?
Don't give the answer away.
All right.
So we'll just give it another few seconds. We have like 58% are participating. So just want to go ahead and take a guess. We won't know if you guessed wrong. Right, I'll just give it one more second and then we'll end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And I will share the results. So it looks like 33% of respondents believe that we are responsible for approximately 2 million square feet of facility. Mitch, is that the right answer?
That is correct.
All right, great.
Right. That is correct.
There we
And
go.
one thing I didn't mention was the fact that, I mean, we do have 2 million square feet that we maintain under roof, as well as James T. Vaughn is over 500 acres of grounds, and Sussex Correctional is close to 300 acres of grounds. So those are 2 very large facilities that's a lot of grass cutting, that a lot of weed eating and a lot of fence line to maintain. So yes, we are extremely busy just maintaining the grounds.
All right, great. So you can continue. You want to switch the next slide, or is this?
Yeah, so we do also maintain some lease space for probation and parole, and we also assist probation and parole on buildings that we don't maintain. So we're one department and we're really one state. So we step outside of our realm on a regular basis with other state agencies to assist them. And they also reciprocate and assist us in a lot of things, especially the Department of Transportation. They really step up and help us with our snow operations, which is very important to the safety of the staff and the inmates and visitors to each facility. And there's a breakdown right there of our square footage, and we're constantly growing. We could probably update this sometimes on a monthly basis, because some we might lose a little space in one by removing a building, but then we're gaining space by adding a building or a storage facility or pole barn or whatever we may need to keep our operation moving. So, and then here's some of the systems that we maintain. I mean, like I think I mentioned this earlier, everything from 10 feet below ground to the rooftops and everything in between, we maintain that, or we find some specialized contractor that can maintain it for us if it's outside of our realm. So electrical distribution, plumbing, fire systems, that is one that you need to be a licensed fire professional for. So we will actually we'll oversee the operation of the fire systems and monitor them. But when it comes to maintenance for the safety and security of the occupants of the staff and inmates and in the facilities, that someone licensed professional will repair them if something's damaged. Again, wastewater treatment systems, we treat them. We send them to the local municipalities. So we don't actually have our wastewater systems on site, but we do maintain the pumps and everything that sends it to the local municipalities. All the heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems, fire alarm systems, all that we maintain and monitor all of that. Locks, again, we talked about locks. That's a big one for us. Every door in the institution is locked or closed at all times. So they all have to work, and there's a lot of them, as well as the heavy duty security doors. And the boilers, the building structures, the roofs. There you go. I mentioned the acreage earlier. Pest control, that is one that we oversee, but we do not do ourselves. We hire a contract for that because of the poisons that could be involved in eliminating pests. It's no one in the department is licensed to utilize that. So again, snow removal, we are responsible for removing all of the snow. And like I said, we do get a lot of assistance from the Department of Transportation in that regard. And then all of the infrastructure, everything that makes the institution tick, that keeps the lights on, we are responsible for that. And then this here is more geared towards our office here at the administration building. We oversee all of the minor and major projects statewide for the department. We have over 10 major construction projects currently going on. We probably have 40 or 50 minor projects going on right now. I mean, everything mechanical wears out. So if most things have a 20-25 year lifespan, and it just seems like 20 or 25 years ago, it was all replaced, and it's getting all replaced again. So there's a lot of projects going on to keep the public safe and to keep these systems operating. And picture of Howard R. Young there, and then some of the work orders that we've completed over the last 5 years. Since I've been with the department, that's over 125,000 work orders. But that's just a little bit of what we do. There's a lot of phone calls we get on a daily basis, all day long, that we just take care of it because it's part of keeping the place running. But we do contractor escort. Anytime there's a contractor on the facility, we send a mechanic. They maintain a log of everything the contractors do, so that we ensure that all projects are completed correctly. We are all correctional officers, so we maintain the same standards as security correctional officers. Inventories, we make sure our tools are right. We make sure anything we bring in and out of the institution is authorized. We have our own fleet of vehicles that we maintain. as well as a fleet of vehicles that are maintained by the Office of Management and Budget. So we have a lot of equipment that we take care of just to keep these places running.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that information.
Absolutely. Hope I
Now,
didn't go too far off script. But,
no, you did a great job. Thank you. So now we will turn it over to Warden Michael Merson of the Special Operations Group, and he's going to talk to us about the variety of operations and positions that fall under the Special Operations Group. Warden
Thank you,
Merson.
Heather, and good morning,
You're up.
everyone. Like she said, my name is Mike Merson. I am the warden of the Department of Corrections Special Operations Group. And the Special Operations Group is comprised of specialized units that provide statewide functions for the entire department. We have our Intelligence Operations Center, our Correctional Emergency Response Team, our statewide Court and Transportation Unit, our statewide Canine Training Division, and our Central Intelligence Group. One other element that falls underneath Special Ops that was actually talked about in the previous Working Behind the Walls is also the Stephen R. Floyd Training Academy. But because that was addressed, we decided to focus on the specialized functions throughout the state. So our Correctional Emergency Response Team, or CERT, is comprised of sworn staff from both the Correctional Officer Series and the Probation Officer Series. We are currently funded for 66 statewide positions. Now, these positions, other than our CERT headquarters, our 66 positions are actually full-time officers at other institutions. So level 4s, level 5s, and our probation offices who are paid to be on call to respond to any situation in the state of Delaware that revolves around the Department of Corrections. Currently, right now, I have 47 active members. Like I said, our CERT officers are assigned to facilities statewide. We currently right now have 6 regionalized teams, so we have 2 specialized teams in each county. Their assignments are based on wherever the officer lives or their assigned facility. So if someone who lives in Newcastle and is assigned to Howard R. Young will likely be assigned to the Northern Region 1 or 2. Like I said, they're paid to be on call in the event of any statewide emergency or activation or any DOC need. And that can range from riots to hostage situations, institutional shakedowns. So that meaning that if an institution has a problem with what they're identifying as maybe weapons or any situations like that, we can go in and actually help assist the institution with shaking down. We also handle all out-of-state medical appointments. A lot of our offenders may have higher medical needs, and they may need to go to a specialized hospital out of the state of Delaware. The institutions handle all of the in-state medical runs, but because the high risk and liability for transporting an incarcerated individual out of state becomes problematic, our CERT team members are actually specially trained to do anything from Johns Hopkins to Wills Eye to Crozier Burn Center, wherever an offender or an inmate is needed out of the state, then we make sure that we transport them to these medical appointments that are sent to us by the DOC medical contractor. We also facilitate interstate transfers of all inmates. So there are times where we may have incarcerated individuals here that have been with us or, are causing institutional issues. We work it out with partner states that we have interstate compact agreements with, and we may transport someone to their facility and bring someone from their facility back. Our CERT team also is our full-time honor guard. So we train consecutively with the Delaware State Police and with the Dover Air Force Base. Like myself and like Mitch, there are a lot of current or former U.S. military members who work for the Department of Corrections. So we have the ability to be able to perform a military ceremony for a fallen officer. We also make sure that we handle all of the funeral details for any officers who have retired and passed away, and their family members have reached out to us and requested honor guard duties. Our honor guard also facilitates all of our academy graduations by presenting colors. So our CERT graduations, our BOTC, which is our probation and parole classes, and our non-sworn basic course, which has all of our correctional counselors, our classification officers, teachers. Our honor guard has also presented colors at different locations at the request of Delaware State University and the governor's office. In order to join CERT, any sworn officer, so that's correctional officer or probation officer, that has at least 1 year with the department and is in good standing, so no discipline in their file, nothing that shows up as anything arbitrary, can apply to become a CERT member. We actually just recently had the DOC post through the entire DOC that we were accepting applications for our vacancies. Each candidate, male or female, must complete an initial physical fitness test consisting of a 2-mile run in 17 minutes or less, 30 push-ups, 75 sit-ups, 6 pull-ups, and must score an 86% or better during their weapons qualifications. Candidates are then interviewed, and if approved, they attend an intensive 5-week basic course. So that's a higher level of defensive tactics, a higher level of physical training, a higher level of weapon certifications at the range, and then everything in between there, from riot control to escapee recovery. Our CERT operators can be certified on multiple weapon systems and can receive other specialized training. Our CERT operators can also specialize in specific fields if they show a high aptitude to be able to be in one of those 3 fields. So our marksmen, so if they show that they can consistently score high levels at the range. Our breachers are specifically trained in order to be able to get into an area. So like if we have a hostage situation, we have Broco torches, we have rescue saws and jaws of life like firefighters use to be able to take down doors, get into secure areas. And our grenadiers are specifically trained in order to be able to deploy either pepper ball or chemical munitions in order to be able to safely and effectively put down a riot or rescue a hostage.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So we are going to turn the conversation now to talking about the Court and Transportation Unit. But before we do that, we're going to launch another poll. So bear with me for 1 second just to see if people have what people think about our Court and Transportation Unit. So if people want to weigh in with approximately how many people were transported by the Court and Transportation Unit in fiscal year 2023. Remember, your answers are anonymous. So A would be 5,000, B 15, C 30, or D 70. I'll give people a little bit of time to weigh in, and then the warden will let us know the correct answer and tell us some more about the role of court and transportation for the department. Thanks so much for weighing in. We have about 54% responding. I'll give it another couple of seconds. Right. And I'll close the poll in 3, 2, 1, and I will share the results. All right, Warden, so it's pretty close. 38% believe that we transported approximately 15,000 people, and 44% believe we transported approximately 30,000 people. Can you give us the correct answer?
So the correct answer is C. We transported 30,000 individuals in FY23.
Great, thank you. And then give us a little more information about the role of court and transportation.
All right, so the Court and Transportation Unit is a statewide unit comprised of 60 correctional staff. I have one captain as our statewide dispatcher. I have 3 lieutenants, so there's 3 county courthouses in each of the 3 counties in Delaware. So I have a lieutenant supervisor that's stationed in each one of the 3 courthouses. I have 5 staff sergeants, 2 assigned to the Newcastle courthouse, 1 assigned to the Kent County courthouse, and 1 assigned to the Sussex County courthouse, and 1 staff sergeant who's actually trained in all 3 of those counties, the different locations, to be able to provide relief in the event that one of the staff sergeants is out on vacation or out sick. And then 51 corporals and sergeants throughout the state that effectively complete all of the transports that we have. Correctional officers who have meet the minimum standards to become a corporal or a sergeant may apply as C&T vacancies become vacant. Our C&T staff transport inmates from all level 5 and level 4 facilities to all of their court appearances between institutions, transfers between institutions, and to probation and parole and pardon board hearings located either at James T. Vaughan or at Kent County Courthouse with the Lieutenant Governor's pardon board team. We also transport any incarcerated individual at an institution that has to go to probation parole in order to be set up with their home confinement equipment or their GPS monitoring. So this gives the probation officers the ability to be able to have the individual in person and be able to make sure they go through all the processes for those individuals sentenced by the court to be on home confinement or to be monitored by GPS. C&T is also responsible for all the transports from the Mitchell building at the Delaware Psychiatric Center. All of the individuals incarcerated at the Mitchell building are DOC offenders who need a higher level of mental health treatment. While the Mitchell building has its own staff to carry out all of the daily functions, they do not have their own transport staff. So we are responsible for making sure that all of those transports take place. So that's court hearings, psychological evaluations. We have both males and females at the Mitchell building. So sometimes they have medical appointments either at Howard R. Young or at BWCI. And then we also have individuals that have a higher level of medical transport to doctors' offices throughout the state, and we transport those as well. C&C staff must accompany all inmates to their court appearances and provide security for the inmate while they're on trial, during transport, while they're having their court appearances. So, you know, we may have some incarcerated individuals that are on trial that actually change into civilian clothes because we afford that. The Delaware legislators and the courts have allowed that to happen for them to be in civilian clothing in front of juries. So we have to make sure that we have the right amount of security assigned to the courtroom to prevent anything from happening. All right, I'm going to move on to our Central Intelligence Group. So just like our CERT operators, our Central Intelligence Group operators are comprised of sworn correctional and probation officers. Same thing, staff who have completed a year with the DOC and are in good standing may apply for a vacant position on SIG. Once accepted and vetted, these officers are also placed on call to respond to any emergency in conjunction with our CERT team. So our SIG operators are specifically trained in how to collect evidence, document all of the evidence, store the evidence, be able to identify, they're trained to be able to identify any gang symbols, gang literature, so that while we're conducting these shakedowns, they can go in and see if any of the inmates have had any markings or taggings on their cell walls or in documentation of that nature. SIG operators specialize in 3 main fields. So it's our intelligence operations. So being able to work through not only the DOC systems, but our contracted vendor through our inmate phone and tablet stuff. Any of our UAVs, our unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. So we have the ability to use our drones to help effectuate any escapee recovery situations. We actually have a drone that has infrared so that if we're out, you know, God forbid someone escapes from James T. Vaughn, as you see the picture on the side, like Mitch said, it's over, 500 acres of landscape. There's also wood lines and cornfields, and we found that it's safer to have a drone in the air with an infrared than have CERT operators walking through marshland and fields and falling and injuring themselves. SIG operators display a unique ability to be able to gather and disseminate intelligence that is pertinent but not limited to gang and security threat group information. We assist in completing initial background checks for new hire events for correctional officers here at the administration building. We scrub social media sites, and we assist CERT with any of the functions that they have, including shakedowns and escapee recovery. SIG staff also gather tactical survey information at all of our DOC facilities to be able to assist CERT command and DOC executive leadership in making sound decisions during emergency situations. And so what does that mean? It means that we actually take blueprints of every facility in the state and we build them from the ground up. So we know what switch turns off what power. We know what valve turns off what water. We know whether a door opens inward or opens outward. We know what kind of locks on the door. We know what kind of hinges on the door. And we need to know all of that information because, in the worst case scenario, like a hostage situation, here in my office, I have a door that we could easily breach with a sledgehammer. In an institution where you have hardened steel, hardened lock, hardened hinges, we may have to bring out the Broco torch, or we may have to use a rescue saw in order to be able to cut off steel hinges and penetrate steel locks in order to be able to get in and rescue staff and hostages. STIG staff are also trained in multiple intelligence platforms, as well as the inmate phone and tablet systems to help facilitate DOC investigations and help facilitate investigations from the institution's investigative teams. We move on to our K9 unit. So our K9 unit is actually our statewide K9 training division. We currently have 29 K9 teams assigned throughout the state. We have K9s stationed at all 5 of our level 5 facilities, and currently right now at one of our level 4. And I also have one K9 assigned here to headquarters, SOG headquarters. That is a detection dog that gives us the ability to be able to go out when we're conducting shakedowns and be able to look for contraband. Right now, our teams are comprised of patrol teams and detection teams that must pass and complete a 14-week basic course and pass a National Police K9 Association certification course. So at the end of their initial training, we actually partner up with our other MPCA agencies, so the Delaware State Police, Newcastle County PD, Wilmington PD, and they help come assess our dogs to make sure that we are passing all of the standards. So that you'll see some pictures there of my program manager, Staff Lieutenant Dean. We were actually doing a presentation for students up at Blue Rock Stadium. So that K9, if it's chasing a suspect, a fleeing suspect, and it goes on to a bite, that dog is supposed to release on a single command and come back to the handler so that once the fleeing suspect has given up, there's no additional injuries to the K9 or to the fleeing suspect. You also see one of the dogs there on our agility field at James T. Vaughn. So just like a professional athlete, we have a harness with parachutes that helps the dog build endurance. We have hurdles that they can jump over, a window that they can simulate jumping through if they needed to get through a window in a facility. We have catwalks. We have several facilities that are at least 2 stories. Some of those facilities have concrete steps, and some of those facilities have mesh metal steps. Very odd for a K9 to step on their open pads on a open metal grate. So we train them to be able to overcome that fear and be able to walk up the steps to be able to respond to an emergency. All of our teams must attend 2 additional days of monthly refresher training. So after they graduate from their basic course, they come back for 2 additional days of refresher training, make sure that they're staying proficient and that we don't have any issues with the K9s. In in 2023, Governor Carney actually established the Retired Law Enforcement Canine Act that actually provides the owner of a retired law enforcement canine to be reimbursed up to $1,500 annually for all veterinary care expenses in the care of a retired law enforcement canine. So a lot of our canine officers who have been around for 15, 20 years have had multiple occasions to be able to retire their canine and be able to adopt them at home. And in the past, they used to have to sign a waiver that they understood that all of the responsibility was theirs if they were accepting the dog. And now we're able to be able to provide them, you know, obviously all of our canines, you know, age out anywhere between, you know, 8 and 9 years on duty. And so they're already, you know, aging into, you know, their more senior years and could require more veterinary care, like, you know, medications for sore joints and hip dysplasia and those kinds of things. So it's really good that the governor was able to get this approved. Outstanding for not only for the Department of Corrections, but all law enforcement agencies in the state of Delaware that have canines and now have an avenue to be able to help offset some of those costs. So that was a great thing for all canine across the state. So our statewide canine training division is responsible for evaluating, purchasing, and training all of our DOC canine teams throughout the department. Positions can be posted at their institutions. So while the Special Ops Canine Training Division is responsible for all of those functions, the officers and the canines actually belong to the individual institutions. So they work individual shifts. We have canines on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except for here as Special Ops. I have one detection dog, and BWCI has one detection dog to help with the searching of contraband. Like I said, positions can be posted as in-house or open competitive. All applicants who are not current officers with the Department of Corrections, once they're accepted as a canine officer, they must complete and pass a DOC correctional officer training course. Canines currently consist of patrol dogs, detection dogs, or a combination of both. Our single-purpose detection dogs are typically Labrador Retrievers or Spaniels, so dogs with high scent detection, the ability to be able to look for everything from tobacco to drugs to K2, which is synthetic marijuana, and believe it or not, cell phones. So our dogs are actually trained. Sometimes our dogs will do a search and they'll find a cell phone charger before they find the cell phone. All cell phones are coated with a specific material that actually makes them semi-waterproof, and the dogs can actually pick up on that scent. Our patrol dogs are typically Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, or Dutch Shepherds, and many of these breeds can be cross-trained as detection dogs as well. The reason why we typically use our single-purpose detection dogs and why we have them on board is because those dogs are passive dogs. We never want to have an incident where we're using a Belgian Malinois who is a patrol dog, but is also certified as a detection dog. We don't use those dogs on human beings. The reason being is because they're high drive dogs. They have they're hyper. They want to go to work. They really want to get involved. And we can use those dogs on vehicles, laundry carts, cell doors, cell rooms, cell windows. But our labs are social. We allow our labs to actually live in the house with our handlers. Canine Andy, who's here in the building with us on a regular basis, you know, people can come back here and pet him. He's happy to entertain everybody. I always tell everybody, if you're having a bad day and you're a dog lover, come on back here and give Andy a pat on the head and make you feel better. Currently, teams are assigned to an institution that do not have kennels. So Howard R. Young, BWCI, and Sussex Community Correction Center do not currently have kennels on site. So those officers are actually assigned take-home vehicles. But all of our canines can be housed at home. With DOC-funded kennels, food, medications, reward toys, leashes, harnesses, and all DOC canine veterinary care is covered by the Department of Corrections. My unit actually oversees that budget, and we make sure that we are working constantly with all of our canine teams at the institutions when those medical emergencies arise. All right, I'm going to move on to the Intelligence Operations Center. So the IOC is actually comprised of sworn and civilian staff. Our sworn staff are correction officers from the rank of captain down to sergeant. And our civilian staff are actually DOC intelligence analysts. So we have our field intelligence team, or our FIT team, and then our intelligence analysts. All of the staff are trained to a high level of being able to garner and monitor reports, news outlets, court documents, and social media. And we provide a daily briefing to all leadership at not only the DOC facilities, but also our executive leadership here, our Bureau of Community Corrections chiefs, our VOP chiefs, and our commissioners. The FIT team, like I said, is comprised of sworn staff. They provide real-time intel to all of the facilities investigative units. Every facility has an investigative team that handles internal investigations, and whether that's inmate on inmate altercations, inmate complaints, drug cases, whatever that is, we assist those agencies with anything that they need from us. So that's assist with contraband interdiction, criminal cases, and gang and security threat group validation support. We also work with other law enforcement agencies on cases such as violations of no contact orders, contraband into the facilities, and any cold case information. Our intel analysts are our civilian staff. They monitor incidents throughout DOC facilities. We currently have 5 analysts, so 1 analyst assigned to each of the level 5 facilities and 2 assigned to James T. Vaughn, because they have the biggest facility and currently right now the most incarcerated individuals. But we monitor everything from incidents in housing units to phone calls to video visits and institutional cameras. So we mine data to support the safety and security of every facility. The IOC is great in doing and having the ability to be able to, take a step back from the actual institution and be able to provide them with unbiased support that gives them the ability to be able to keep all of their institutions safe.
All right, so I think that is, I think that's it for presentation wise. So thank you, Warden Merson, for providing that information. Thank you to all of our presenters for taking the time and providing us with all of that great information. Again, we have, I think we've mentioned a couple of times, the, we have a YouTube channel where you can view the past webinars. You'll be able to view today's webinar in a few days when we're able to publish that, and then additional videos of interest that the department has published over, over the course of time. There, I did put out in the chat, which I think everyone was able to see. We actually did do a video on our locksmith training for staff that is available on our YouTube channel. It's obviously, we're not providing too much information on our locks, but the locksmith training we did do a video on. So there's a lot of really interesting information on our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about the Department of Correction. We also have, if you go to doc.delaware.gov to the Department of Corrections website, we do have on the front page, we have our career page is right up on the front. So if anyone is interested in applying for positions within the department, or has friends or family who might be interested in applying for positions within the department, there are links for standard correctional positions, and then again for the food service and the maintenance facilities and maintenance positions that we just talked about today. I also, up on your screen today, you'll see some additional contact emails. We wanted to provide you with information for some other teams that are available to assist you with questions that you might have. Again, if you have any specific questions about individuals who are in custody of the department or under our supervision, you can contact the community relations team, and they would either be available to assist or to refer you. Just obviously keep in mind, we can't release certain personal or health related information about individuals without their permission. So if you are reaching out about a specific individual, the team may inquire as to your relationship with that person so that we can ensure proper releases are on file before providing any information. You can also reach out to our victim services division and our reentry team at the emails that are available on this slide here. Keep an eye out for the next installment of the Insider series. I think that we are still determining the next topic that we're going to provide, and I guess that will lead me to the next poll, which my polls have disappeared again, but let me see if I can get it to pop back up. Normally we ask, did you like this webinar? That's usually our ending poll, but this time I was hoping to get a little information on what topics you would like to see in a future installment of the DOC Insider series. So this poll would just invite you to type in an answer. Again, anonymous, so we would not see who responded to the question. So I'll leave that one up for a period of time. So if you want to provide some feedback on any topics for future webinars that you would like to see, we'd love some feedback on that. We've done in the past, we've done a couple sessions on probation and parole. We've done intake to classification. We've done prison healthcare. We've done reentry. We've done prison programming. We've done education, things like that. So if anyone is looking for anything that we haven't provided information on, we're certainly looking for some feedback. We did not get very many questions. And I think oftentimes that's a result of kind of really great presenters anticipating what people want to know. One of the questions that we did get was about, does having facilities and maintenance doing repairs and renovations in-house save taxpayers any money? And I think that that's, it's so maybe kind of hard to necessarily 100% measure, but I would say like yes and in a variety of ways, right? So we when you're not hiring vendors, right, we're not incurring like fluctuating vendor costs. We have the repairs are being completed by people that we already employ who also are serving in correctional officer roles, right? So they are serving a dual purpose for the department in the first place. We also have the ability to, when we're completing the repairs, we have the ability to make sure that they're completed in a timely manner, right? And we're not waiting for an outside vendor to complete those repairs. And we also have we have the added, when we need to bring a vendor in, we also have the added, it adds in a little bit of time because we have to screen people who come into our facilities, right? So that can also delay repairs. So I think there are a variety of reasons why it's important, safety and security wise, financial wise, to do a lot of the things that we do in-house. Mitch, I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to add to that. Like quantifying it, I couldn't quantify it specifically in the middle of this webinar, but I think that there are definitely reasons why we do it that way and why it's probably the best way to do it. I don't know if you had anything to add, Mitch. You're on mute.
Unmute.
There.
Okay. Yeah, so definitely, it's definitely more beneficial for us to try, if we can do it in-house, to do it in-house, financial wise. I can give you, for instance, I had a quote recently at Baylor Correctional for just a minor plumbing repair, several $1,000s for a contractor. And we were able to complete the task for a couple $100 doing it in-house. So it's just, anytime we can do a task in-house, it's definitely beneficial and saving the taxpayers an enormous amount of money to just do it in-house. Because bottom line, I mean, we try to save money wherever we can. So definitely, plus it gives our mechanics the experience of actually doing the task, which just makes them well-rounded, better mechanics. I did want to mention one more thing, if I can, that I failed to mention during my time, if I can, Heather.
Sure.
So we are 24-hour coverage, 365 days a year. It's just on our when we're off shift, we do have standby mechanics covering the shift, covering the institution. So they're never without a mechanic more than an hour away when we're not on site. And along with the warden in his in regards to his breaching a doorway or a fence or whatever he may need to breach to perform his functions. Any maintenance equipment that we have on any institution is 100% at the disposal of the warden. So we have plenty of large tractors, backhoes, dump trucks. So if they need our help or they need our equipment, we definitely join in and let them utilize whatever equipment we have so that they can safely perform their job as well. So I just wanted to throw those couple things in there.
All right, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so without any other, let me just one more check. Without any other questions, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I see several people have kind of answered the poll. I really appreciate that. And then, you know, like I said, we will make the recording available on the YouTube channel over the next couple of days. We will send the PowerPoint out to anyone who was registered, and certificates of completion will be made available for anyone who attended the entire webinar. We really appreciate you joining us and your desire to kind of learn more about DOC operations. We're always hiring. DOC.delaware.gov, our career page is right up front if you're interested in joining our team. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.